Welcome to our first IgniteRE calculators video series. This video is going to focus on the settings feature and the default costs built into the program. To illustrate how to use the settings function, we're going to draft up a buyer's net sheet example and how the settings relate to that cost sheet. Go to buyer's cost sheet and enter a sales price. Your zip code is already entered as it's defaulted for the one you provided when your account was set up. So enter the sales price in a different zip code if necessary, and it will return the title escrow and all closing costs associated with the transaction for that specific area and who will pay for those particular costs. Remember, all closing costs are zip code driven. With those associated costs and fees, if you know any of these fees are going to be different, you can always change them. For example, if the home warranty is going to be different, you can change that at any time. These fees are stored as defaults in settings, but you can also change them on the go as you determine your net sheet. So how does this relate to the settings and costs associated? Let's go back to the dashboard and bring up settings. Settings allows you to look at the default costs for an average transaction. All of these closing costs have been set up by each area's designated FirstAm escrow officer. FirstAm IgniteRE calculators estimates these numbers. They are very accurate. And remember, this is an estimate. It's not an actual quote for closing costs, but it does give the buyer and seller a real good idea of what their costs are going to be. So let's look at the default costs. You can change any of these you want. Since we drafted the buyer's closing costs example, let's look at the tab for buyer default costs. Say you want to change the home warranty line item. You can do so by simply changing the amount from, say, 300 to 500. Now, say you want to add a transaction fee to your default buyer costs. Pick a line item and change the field name. Choose the type of fee, whether it's a percent of the loan amount, sales price, or a flat fee. Enter the fee rate and then check whether it's applicable to a cash transaction. Once finished with all changes, you can click on Save at the bottom left. And doing these things will save you time as you generate these net sheets going forward. If you know these rates will not change and you don't want the program to change these settings, you can lock those line items. If you make a mistake and you want to start from scratch, you can always click the Download, Re-download Default Cost tab, and it will wipe out everything you had worked on that hadn't been locked. If you put a check in the box, and the lock boxes next to the line items that you do not want to be changed, this will prevent FirstAm's updates from overwriting them. Of critical importance, when you make changes in the settings panel, changes will be made to your desktop as well as your mobile app instantaneously. So let's review the tabs in the settings module. The seller's cost tab. This is similar to the buyer cost tab. All the related fees associated with a seller net sheet are here. This is where you can change the defaults for any of your closing costs associated with your transactions. Every one of these tabs is associated with one of the net sheets for IgniteRE calculators, whether it's a short sale, whether it's the FHA, VA, USDA loan, rules, buyer costs, refinance costs, conventional loan information, other escrow, CDTC, TRID printouts, and disclosures and loan comparison. The other escrow tab is important for Southern California as it has a lot of independent escrow or broker-owned escrows. And they may want to get a title quote from First American, but they may want to use their own escrow fees for their particular market area. So you can put in whatever base rates those are in the rate per 1,000. And if you check this box, it will overwrite First American title escrow with whatever you just entered. The loan comparison tab will run the report in the $25,000 increments. Here is where you can change that amount. And just remember to click on Save at the bottom right corner of the screen once you've made any changes. You can always print, email, or text that net sheet anywhere, anytime from any device. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, you can call FirstAm IgniteRE Calculators customer support. The phone number 1-800-252-8692. If you'd like to email us, you can send us an email at support@costfirst.com. Thanks for watching the IgniteRE Calculators settings video.